like to make clear, I didn't have any presentation because my track was changed. I prepared a presentation on agriculture and rural transformation, but when I came here in this university, my track was changed, so I don't have a presentation. This is what I'm speaking to you on the example. Fine. So this was a problem, Suddenly, government started spending on capex. Government spend a lot of amount of money on R&D. They realized that if India has to go on a path of sustainable development, India has to achieve closer to the sustainable development goals, then education, health, and employment. These are the three dimensions which need to be strengthened. And this is how the policy changed after we experienced the pain of COVID. Now, why? If you look at the overall population of our country, this is around 1.43 millions by 2023 figures, and around the median age of this population is around 28 years, and around 65% of this population is below 35 years of age. 65% of this population is below 35 years of age. So, and some people, when we talk in numbers, we often talk about demographic dividend. We have a population, young population, educated population, which is very, very young. So if we really want to have a benefit of, if you want to enhance the opportunities of employment in our country, then this is the population which needs to be polished, which needs to be inculcated with the right kind of skills. And this is where the journey of New India began after 2020, 21, 22 onwards. Now, the question comes whether the education system which we have right now in our country, will that be able to ensure social inclusion? The question comes in our mind, the kind of healthcare system we have in our country, will that be able to ensure social inclusion and the opportunities which the youngsters are getting in terms of employment, whether they'll be able to ensure social inclusion? So these are the big three questions, and on which my fellow colleagues have already spoken about. So I'll not go into the numbers, I'll basically talk about the issues. One of the important report I would like to mention is the UNDP Human Development Report, which says that India ranks 130th out of 193 countries in the world. The position of India is at 130th position. You can see where India stands. And SDI score is around 0.685. Another very, very important statistics is given by the World Bank Human Capital Index, which ranks in which the score of India is 0.49. It means that if a child is born today, he would be able to explore his 50% potential by the end of his life. That is where India stands in terms of human capital index according to the World Bank. It's a very, very sorry picture for India. Another very important thing is that my colleagues have been talking about mortality rate. My colleagues have been talking about maternal mortality rate. That is, we have substantial development in that. Fine, wonderful. That's the amazing thing that we are improving in terms of mortality rate, in terms of infant mortality rate, and in terms of also sanitation access. We have improved, but there are certain areas where we need to really bother about. The institutional deliveries, my fellow colleague was talking about gender parity, the institutional deliveries are still much, much more higher in rural belts as compared to the urban belts, even after 76, 77 years of independence. It means that the kind of health access which our rural folks require, they are missing. So this is one area which is a very, very alarming point for all of us. Another very important scheme of government of India, that is Ayushman Bharat, that is covering around 500 plus million people. But at the same time, it hurts when many states in the country, the current report is very, very disappointing. Many states in our country have sent back unspent money under the Ayushman scheme. So on one side, government is spending, government has earmarked a big fund for Ayushman Bharat, but on the other hand, there are many states in the country who couldn't spend this money. So that's a big question mark on the governance. There's a big question mark on the spending pattern of the state. I don't know why states are so reluctant to spend money when they already get the money. But there are many states in the country which have not spent the money which was earmarked for under the Ayushman Bharat scheme. Another scheme, the Poshan Bharat is another scheme where the same thing is happening. There's a huge amount of unspent money which could not be spent. So that's a big question mark. Another, disparities. We have been talking about disparities. Nutrition gaps are still there. Urban, rural. I come from Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh is doing good in terms of agriculture development. Madhya Pradesh is contributing in terms of national growth, is one of the very prime states in terms of growth. But when it comes to malnutrition, Madhya Pradesh is a question mark. So there are many states in the country which are question mark as far as the malnutrition is concerned, and this is a big issue for our country. Despite whatever efforts we have made till now, malnutrition needs to be taken care of. Whatever policy we design in the future, malnutrition needs to be taken about. Rural women, I just spoke about that. 89% of the women in our country have institutional deliveries, where this number is much higher in urban areas. And utilization, this is another very important statistics. ST households, 20% lower health utilization. The marginalized communities in our country have around 20% lower utilization of health facilities. So it means that accessibility is a problem. Availability is not a problem. Accessibility is a problem, that despite being, some of the facilities which are available, but still some of the sections of our society are not able to access this facility. Now, mental health is another problem. If we look at the youth, this is a big 15% of youth in our country is suffering from mental health. Whatever may be the problems, they might be have personal problems, education problems, whatever. But 15% of our youth in our country is going through the mental health, and that really contributes 10% of their labor participation. These 15% people who are suffering from mental health, they suffer in terms of labor participation, and this ratio accounts to 10%. So this is a big question mark, and that also plays an important role as far as its impact on our GDP is concerned. It has a negative impact on our GDP by around 4%. So it means mental health alone is contributing deficit of GDP. So that is a big question mark that we need to take care of this very, very important aspect. Now, looking at the health infrastructure in our country, if we compare whatever we have and what should it be according to the WHO, we are far behind in terms of nursing density, we are far behind in terms of doctor density, we are far behind in terms of hospital beds, we are far behind as far the ICU beds in our country is concerned, we are far behind in terms of public health expenditure. We are spending just 3.2% of our GDP. There are many countries in the world which are spending in double digits, and our benchmark is 5.6% to spend on health. So this is again a question mark. Now, one of my colleague has already spoken about, that is out-of-pocket expenditure. 48% of health spending is borne by the individuals. 48% of health expenditure, that's a big number, 48%. It means whatever resources you have, those you are not able to manage. You have to spend from your own pocket rather than the insurance company paying for you. So this is a big question mark, and there has been a massive, sir, give me time, everybody has got the time. There has been a massive surge in terms of non-communicable diseases. I'll talk about two diseases. One is diabetics, another is hypertension. We have 60% deaths under these two heads. So where are we after 77, 76 years of independence? These are the sectors which need to be taken care of. Otherwise, whatever we are spending, I think we are not spending in the right way. And now what should be done? I'll talk about another factor, then I'll come to the strategies which need to be followed. Literacy rate, another factor is the education. My colleagues have already spoken about that 80.90 is the literacy rate. But I would like to talk about the ESSA report, which is very painful. ESSA report is very painful, which says that 45% those students who are in grade 5 are not able to read the book of class 2. That's a big question mark on the quality of our elementary education. 45% of those who are in the grade 5 are failing to read the book of text level 2. So that's a big question mark, and there's a gender gap is around 0.9% urban, between urban and rural when we talk about education level, the enrollment ratio also. Now, what should be done? We need one factor which is really contributing, which I'm going to relate with the employment also, is a skill development. One factor which is really contributing in a bad performance of education and employment is the skill development. Where do we stand in terms of skill development? I'll just very briefly, because I'm already been instructed. Around 50% of India's youth is not employable even after degrees. They get the degrees of MBA, they get the degrees of engineering, but 51% of such graduates are not finding jobs. 43% of graduates are not fit enough to get the jobs. These are the numbers of skill development report of Government of India. Now, the kind of skills, 10 years back, I didn't know the computer, so everybody was talking to me that I must learn computer. But now computer is very elementary. Now we are living in an era of AI and machine learning. The kind of skills we require nowadays, those skills are changing every year. So nowadays what is happening, around 60 to 73% of the skills which are required for your nourishment, those skills are missing in our youth. It means if our employability is a problem, then the major problem of employability is a skill development. The kind of skills which youth require, those skills are not been imparted to them. It means that the kind of skills which our education institutes should impart to the students, and the kind of skills which the industry require, that there's a big gap between supply and demand also. So skills are very, very important. And one more thing, there's a big industry academia gap. We have seen the world-class institution in our country. Some of the institutions are very good, but there's always a gap between. There's always a, missing linkages between industry and academia. If we want to enhance level of employability in our country, then this gap need to be strengthened. There are many industries, they don't have any collaboration with the academia, and academia do not have any collaboration with the industry. So this is where the things are missing. Our education institutes has to establish a very strong linkages with the corporates, with the industries, with the NGOs, so that the students, they are providing degrees, they get a proper employment in those industries. Now, what happens if you are lacking in terms of skills? That reduces your competitiveness, that reduces your growth, that and one more thing, I remember the COVID days. Most of our dependency on informal sector is 90%, around 90%. 90% of our workforce is engaged in our informal sector. And what we observed during COVID-19, that these people, when the industries were closed, these people were on the roads and they couldn't go back because they didn't have money in their pockets. So one question mark which comes to the labor reforms in our country is that we need to provide a proper social security to our labor force. If we do so, then only then the employability, the quality of employment and the quality of work would improve. So this is another important area where I think the policy makers needs to work about. The economic labor reforms have been amended right now, and government is working on this area, that how we can provide better social security to the workers. Government has taken note of this, and they have amended some social reforms, labor reforms, and recently. One more thing. What is the way ahead? I'm just cutting some very important points in between because of time. What is the way ahead? We need to strengthen, we need to work very, very religiously on technology and research development. Yesterday, Professor Rangarajan was also talking about 5 points. I agree with him that you cannot grow, you cannot progress without the investment in technology and research and development. Unless you don't put money, unless you don't put investment in research and technology, in technology and research and development, your existence would be a big question mark. Another is adoption of new skills. Every day the skills are changing. So we need to upgrade ourselves that we are able to adopt those skills. We need to change ourselves accordingly in such a way that we inculcate the right kind of skills and the new kind of skills at the right time. Otherwise, the employability would not be ensured at all. Now, access to basic and affordable health facilities is very, very important. Now, a lot of rural belts, there's a lot of migration towards urban belts, and I think more and more MSMEs, more and more health facilities should be provided in the rural belts, so that this gap where the youth, just 1 minute, where the youth shift from the rural belts to the urban belts in order to find the better jobs, I think that would be taken care of. And the last point before I speak is that, before I end, is that one more sector which is a allied sector, that education and employment would be able to contribute better if we have a very good manufacturing growth in our country. They are going to impact each other. Education is going to have impact on manufacturing. Manufacturing is going to create demand for the youth, the kind of skills which are required. So development of manufacturing sector would play a very, very important role. So this is my submission. I've cut many points. So I would like to have your questions later on whenever the question answer session is there. Thank you so much.
Requesting Dr. K. Shanmugam, IAS, former Chief Secretary, Government of Tamil Nadu, to deliver his address. Sir, please.
Respected Chairman, eminent panelists, scholars, experts, and professors who have come across the country, and the students. First of all, I should congratulate and thank Chandra Mohan for organizing this conference here. I never imagined that he will be able to rally so much of experts. I have gone through the list. Almost every person have been brought into this conference, and I'm sure that our students here would have largely benefited out of their lectures and discussions. I have come here incidentally because this program is supposed to be attended by Dr. Vijay Kumar, my colleague, and incidentally he had some work. So he asked me that, you being, I did recently PhD in economics. He said, why don't you fit in? I did my PhD after completing my service. After retirement, I did my PhD in Madras School of Economics. Then I asked, what is the topic? Then he told me topic. Then, okay, fine. Because I did my PhD in public finance and fiscal policy, so fine, it's related. Otherwise, I should not come and sit here in an unconnected conference. So then I now wonder whether I am an academician or administrator. It's a bit of a confusion, but I feel that I am both. I have a very rare opportunity of seeing the both sides of the coin at the same time. I have done my PhD, done my research work, so I am academician. I have done my administrative work. In fact, I have been very closely associated with policy making for more than 10 years. I was finance secretary for 9.5 years and chief secretary for 2 years. So a bit of a good association I had on both sides. Because these kind of issues, social inclusion and human development and all these things, is the job of a joint work by the academicians and the policy makers. We talk about growth and development. Our chairman very nicely, he has subtly put it, the crux of this conference. He said, growth should lead to development, and the development should be a balanced development. If merely there is a growth and if it is not balanced, then it is not going to benefit largely. When I talk about development, it is socio-economic development, because some people, they talk about economic development, leave social. But this is a socio-economic development. For a balanced socio-economic development, growth alone is not adequate. You need something else. A government intervention is needed, and it has to be focused, channelized, so that the benefit of growth reaches all sections of the people. Why? Because economics talks about equity and efficiency. The economics talks about efficiency, the optimum use of resources, especially the human resources. Human capital is a flow resource. If you don't use it now, you cannot use it later. You cannot store it and use it later. So vital is the human resource. So naturally, the time is an essence of all these things. And equity is essential because it should be, the benefits should be, opportunities should be accessible to everyone. For a human capital, health, education, and employment is the most crucial. Our chairman was pointing out two models, and nothing, we are not something, we are undervaluing a model, but it is a model by nature. It has emerged as a model by nature. A Gujarat model, which is a more of a growth-oriented model, and the Tamil Nadu model is a more of a equity-oriented model. That's all. In a growth-oriented model, growth is there, but social development indicators lags behind. But in a welfare-oriented model, growth is there, benefit also gets spread. What are all the factors that blocks this kind of a balanced development? One, the imbalances may be because of a geographical factor. Some states are progressing faster, some are progressing slow. Then this kind of imbalances may be social, because some community or some groups are progressing faster within the state. That kind of imbalances are there, regional imbalances are there. Then there is a sectoral imbalances which we have to look at it. What is sectoral imbalances? All of you know that in economy the primary, secondary and tertiary sectors are there. Some states are predominantly still agriculture. Some states are industrialized. Some states are led by service sector. Tamil Nadu is something which is very unique, where both manufacturing and service sector leads, but backed by manufacturing sector. Agriculture contributes about 10 to 12%. But many other states which are lacking behind, it is still predominantly agriculture. Why these sectoral imbalances is very important? Because the social group imbalances are caused because of this. When 70% of the people depend on agriculture, which contributes only 10 to 12%, see the kind of imbalances that is being caused. And that 70% mostly rural, and most of them are socially backward classes. Backward classes, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So naturally, this is one thing which becomes the root cause for other imbalances. So these regional imbalances, social imbalances, and the sectoral imbalances needs to be corrected if the economy has to grow in a proper form. The natural economic transformation, you are all expert, you know that the labor force on the agriculture has to shift towards a more efficient sector in order to have the balance. So it is naturally the industry. It doesn't mean that people have to migrate from rural area to urban area. You create a manufacturing base in rural area, like agro-based industries, food processing industries, or even other manufacturing industries broad-based industrial development, then the migration can be arrested. People will benefit largely in all regions. So the balanced growth will happen. Social inclusion will happen automatically. This is exactly what Tamil Nadu has done. Myself and Gopalakrishnan, we were part of this cadre, Tamil Nadu cadre. I would say proudly that Tamil Nadu bureaucrats are one of the most efficient bureaucrats and better visionaries, hard-working people. I will tell you why the Tamil Nadu stands in the top. People should think about it. How the intervention has happened. All of us, we know that for any policy planner, there should be evidence-based decision making is very vital. People are now talking about this. Harvard University, people started talking about this. Now, large number of people are talking about this evidence-based policy making, evidence-based decision making. But this has been practiced earlier also. Tamil Nadu, for last so many years, they have been focusing on the health and education and social inclusion. The caste system has been slowly dismantled, and the social inclusion has become more effective through various schemes, through reservations, so many other programs. Some of these things I will just narrate. Large number of educational institutions has been created in Tamil Nadu. Hospitals have been created in Tamil Nadu. The primary health centers, for every 30,000 people there is a primary health center. And large number of primary health centers have been made as 24/7 hospitals. And sub-centers are functioning well. Taluk hospitals have been upgraded. Large number of medical colleges are in Tamil Nadu only. Every district is having a medical college. Large number of medical doctors are passing out from the state. Large number of engineering colleges are here. In fact, before the IT revolution, the colleges have been created here. And even with persons with a little above the mediocre level, they have gone to abroad and they are well settled. And the last 10-15 years, you will notice that we have created other educational professional colleges also. 5-6 veterinary colleges have been started by government in Tamil Nadu. I don't think many of the states they may have 1 or 2. But at a time 5-6 veterinary colleges are not there. So many agricultural colleges are there. So many law colleges are there. In medical, private education has become very big thing. And private hospital has come in large way. All these things, how it has been possible? Because the government, the governance has promoted, supported this kind of initiatives. I will narrate few incidents. In health sector, at a particular point of time, the discussion was going on at a chief minister level. Our friends have made a presentation that disease burden, how it is affecting the economic growth, how it is affecting the productivity. The chief minister had a detailed discussion, and it was presented to him the evidences that how it is affecting the people. When the life-threatening diseases are affecting the poor families, how they are getting ruined. Then it ended up in bringing an insurance scheme for the poor. The first time in the country, the first state which has brought the insurance scheme for the poor is Tamil Nadu. All these life-threatening diseases, all these procedures were listed out, and it gave 5 lakhs protection insurance amount for admission to any hospital, private or government. Later we refined it. We said in government also so much of facilities created, why underutilize the resources? Then we added that certain procedures has to be done in government, certain you can go to private. Then the question came that some of the life-threatening diseases, these 5 lakhs is not adequate. An exemption was given for certain listed diseases. The insurance company negotiated with the insurance company, said that the amount has to be enhanced, they agreed. Right. It's a big intervention. Then Government of India also have come out with the Ayushman Bharat now, but we are pioneer. Then non-communicable disease. It has been noticed that you would have seen the non-communicable disease burden is affecting the growth and development productivity in a very big way. A survey was conducted to the World Bank scheme. Then all these people suffering with the diabetics, blood pressure were listed out. Then the government, a study was conducted. We found that these people are not, because it requires a prolonged medication. People are not taking the medicines properly because for obvious reason, cost and other accessibility, all these things. So we brought, the state government has brought a scheme called Makkalai Thedi Maruthuvam. Today these medicines are going to the patient's home. They need not visit the hospital also. So today non-communicable disease is being tackled. Some preventive measures are going on. Some curative side also, some support is being given by the government. There is a proper system. Ultimately, in education, health or employment, the access quality is very important. In access, the equity is very important. So here we are addressing the equity aspect also, the access also. In health sector, Tamil Nadu is one of the best system we are having, both private and government. This has ensured a considerable amount of social inclusion in the state. Then look at the education. From the beginning, this reservation, scholarship, all these things are there. A time came, then it needs to be broad-based. The government brought a first generation graduate program, scholarship for first generation graduate. Whereas that is cost neutral. Any family where the first generation graduates are there, they are supported with the scholarship. It has made a tremendous impact. Then women education, special priority was given, incentives. Starting from school, college, everywhere this women education has been promoted in a big way. In fact, we had a marriage scheme, marriage assistance scheme, in which a distinction was made. A higher financial benefit was given for the women who has passed, who are degree holders. To incentivize them, they have to get a higher benefit, they should become a graduate. Like that, the many such programs have been initiated based on the evidences provided by the academicians. The research studies, all these things, problems are presented and the administration is responding to that. A time was there, the discussion was, we had a discussion with the Chief Minister, the administrators were there. Chief Minister asked that what to do with this this women education, women enrollment. Then a list was presented to the Chief Minister that which are all the districts where this women enrollment was very low. Chief Minister said, yes, we will concentrate on these districts, start more and more women colleges. More and more women colleges were started in places like Dharmaburi, Krishnagiri, all these places. Then the Chief Minister asked, which are all the places literacy rate is still low? Certain areas were presented based on the evidence provided by our academicians. She said, right, every block there should be a college. In a development block, if there is no private college, government college, start a government college. The college was started. So like this is going on. Then at a particular presentation to the central team, it was noticed that the literacy rate between, in Tamil Nadu, fortunately, the literacy gap between the other communities and scheduled caste is not very much, almost. Even you can see that the entrance test marks and all these things, the difference is very narrow. But the gap is between the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, there is big gap, 10% gap. Then within tribal population, women and male, there is a huge gap. Then we had a study done with some NGO, Dawn Foundation, and they made a study in tribal area and found that the women children, the families are reluctant to send their women children for higher education down the hills. The facilities are not available in the hills. Then the government took in initiatives that all the schools which are only high schools upgraded as higher secondary school. Then in fact 5 ITI were founded in these 5 hill areas, Yalagiri Hills, Kalrain Hills, all these hills, higher for promoting their higher studies. So like that, so many interventions, every interventions in this state are based on the evidences presented by the academicians, and it is more focused. So if you want to achieve, social inclusion is very important. If it is not there, you are not using your potential, you are not achieving your full potential, you are not using your resources properly, you are underutilizing resources, you are wasting your resources. On the other hand, if social inclusion is achieved in all respects, your economy is working in a full potential for which it is required. But that will not happen automatically. Academicians can create hundreds of research studies, but the problem is that these research studies has to be put to use. Otherwise, what is the use of this? So much of toil, trouble they take to conduct a study and bring out some findings. If it is not used properly, what is the use of that? The government should use it, administrators should use it, policy makers should use it. Wherever it is happening, things are going on well. It is a positive development is happening. Tamil Nadu is one such state. If more and more states follow this model, I am sure that they also will shine better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And I would request the chairperson for the session, Sri S. Gopalakrishnan, sir, to please give his chairman's remarks. Sir, please.
Morning. I think it's a very tough task. I think we are running behind schedule. By now, people will be expecting the next session should have started. I think we are running behind schedule. I would just like to recall what Shanmugam sir just said. It's a perfect wrap-up about what is fashionably called evidence-based policy making, because we had a panel which disclosed various aspects about health, education and employment in terms of where we are, whether it's disease burden or whether it is injuries or whether it is social inequity or gender balance or in terms of all the other human development indicators, skills. But basically, in a democratic polity, it is a question also like economics of supply and demand. So in the earlier years or even today in some states, suppose if it is education, people will say we need a school building. So that is the priority thing. Then people will say we need a hospital. Now, once you have a PHC or a school building, then your demand changes. You say, I need teachers, I need nurse, I need technicians. Later on, the demand becomes even more focused. I need good teachers, I need good doctors, I need good health care, I need better delivery. Now, even within the country today, we are at various stages. The extent of engagement of democratic where the evidence generated by research, the demand created by the people,
and the supply provided by the government. Again, I'll caution, for all these areas, there is a critical role for the state, the government, and the private. Education, health, employment will always have a solid play both by the state and also the private suppliers. But the critical role for the state is to ensure that there is a balance, and there is, if you leave one sector entirely, predominantly to the private sector, be it health or education, we are taking a big risk. So it is in that regard that all this evidence should feed into proper policies. And I would just conclude with my earlier starting remarks that we have a lot of evidence, we have a lot of live experience within the country. Look at all the states, look at how some states have done very good in some areas, and let us take the common denominator, and I'm sure we will soon achieve good indicators, human development across the country for the entire population. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a beautiful Sunday, day 2 of the 108th annual conference, where we are very fortunate to have all the eminent speakers to come all the way in spite of their busy schedule, coming here and igniting us. Sir, thank you very much for all the members for your valuable address, and you are really making this roundtable discussion on the social inclusion for the human development in India. It is a pioneering area. Everyone here will definitely ensure that the best as the key outcomes will be taken care. Now, I request Professor Jyoti Murugan sir, the Pro Vice Chancellor, and the conference president to honor the dignitaries on the dais. I also request Professor A.D.N. Bajpai sir, please come onto the dais. I request Professor Ravindra Brahme, General Secretary, to please come onto the dais. I request Jyoti Murugan sir to felicitate the chairperson for the session, Sri S. Gopala Krishnan IAS, Chairman Staff Selection Commission, and the Chairman National Recruitment Agency, former Additional Secretary, Prime Minister's Office, and Special Secretary, Minister of Health and Family Welfare. A huge round of applause for the chairperson on this roundtable conference. Thank you very much, sir. I request to honor Dr. K. Professor Kaushik Dalal, Senior Health Economist and Public Health Expert, Professor, Mid Sweden University, Sweden. Sir, please. Requesting Dr. Anil Kumar Thakur sir, A.D.N. Bajpai sir, Dr. Ravindra Brahme sir to join. Thank you, sir. I now request to honor Dr. K. Shanmugam, IAS, former Chief Secretary, Government of Tamil Nadu. Thank you, sir. I request the dignitaries on the dais to honor Dr. Girish Shankar Malik, Professor, Western Sydney University, Australia. Sir, please. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Now we call upon Professor Jyotish Prakash Basu, Professor of Economics, former Vice Chancellor, West Bengal State University. Thank you, sir. Now I call upon Dr. Dania, Fellow Coordinator, Center for Labor Market Studies, V.V. Giri National Labour Institute, Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India. Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Kannaya Aguja, Vice President IEA, Professor of Economics, School of Economics, Devi Hagilya University, Indur. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, sir. I now call upon Dr. N. Suresh Babu, Associate Professor, Presidency College, for reporting this session, taking that everyone's valuable address will be included in this conference proceedings. Thank you very much, sir. And now I request all the dignitaries on the dais to stand for a group photograph. Sir, please. Ma'am, please. A very big round of applause for all the members. I request Dr. B.P. Chandramohan, sir, to please join. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Yeah. We are going to short Sri Chandra Babu Endowment Lecture. This session will be delivered by Sri S. Gurumurthy, Part-time Director, Central Board of the Reserve Bank of India, Visiting Professor, IIT Mumbai. This session will be chaired by Dr. G. Viswanathan, Patron and Chancellor, Vellore Institute of Technology. We are going to shortly commence this program. Requesting all the members to stay back. We are going to start this program in a minute. There are two important announcements. One, this is for the Executive Committee members of the Indian Economic Association. Today, the EC meeting will be held at 7 p.m. at IQAC Hall located in the MGR block. Today at 7 p.m. we are going to have a Executive Committee meeting at IQAC block. Thank you. We welcome Sri Gurumurthy sir, Part-time Director, Central Board of the Reserve Bank of India, Visiting Professor, IIT Madras. We welcome Sri Aishari Ganeshan sir, Founder Chancellor, VISTAS, and the Patron 108th Annual Conference. We welcome Chancellor Dr. G. Viswanathan, Chancellor, Vellore Institute of Technology, and Patron, Indian Economic Association. So, we wholeheartedly welcome you. Requesting all the delegates to give a huge round of applause to Sri Gurumurthy sir, the Part-time Director, Central Board of the Reserve Bank of India, and the Visiting Professor, IIT Mumbai. Sir, please, sir. We now welcome the reporter of the session, Dr. S.N. Suguma, Deputy Local Organizing Secretary for the 108th Annual Conference and the Deputy Director, School of Economics, Management Studies and Commerce, Wales University, to please come onto the dais. Good morning, distinguished delegates, esteemed guests, and dear friends. We now come upon to this most cherished moments of our 108th Annual Conference of Sri Chandrababu Naidu Endowment Lecture. This lecture, instituted during the centenary celebration of the Indian Economic Association in the year 2017. This lecture honors the contributions of Sri Chandrababu Naidu's visionary leadership and transformative governance. Since then, it has become a proud tradition reminding us of the powers of idea to shape India's economic future. We are also privileged to have with us Dr. Aisari K. Ganesh, Chairman of the Wales Group of Institutions and Founder-Chancellor of Wales Institute of Science, Technology and Advanced Studies. At the age of 22, Dr. Aisari Ganesh began his journey by establishing institutions in the memory of his illustrious father, Sri Aisari Velan. By 42, he has become the youngest founder-chancellor of a deemed university in India, a distinction that reflects his extraordinary vision and determination. From those beginnings, he has built an empire of learning, 54 institutions across 34 campuses, nurturing over 51,000 students and 8,000 plus faculty members in a span of just 33 years. His institutions extend beyond Tamil Nadu to Singapore, Dubai and United Kingdom, making his impact truly global. Presiding over this session is a towering figure in Indian higher education, Dr. G. Viswanathan, patron of the Indian Economic Association and the Chancellor of the Vellore Institute of Technology. Dr. G. Viswanathan's journey began with a vision to make world-class education accessible to Indian youth. As a founder and the Chancellor of Vellore Institute of Technology, he has transformed it into one of India's premier universities, constantly ranked among the nation's top university. His leadership has fostered global academic partnerships with over 400 plus universities worldwide, placing Indian education firmly on the international stage. He has championed inclusive excellence, ensuring opportunities for students from diverse backgrounds. Recognized nationally and internationally, Dr. Viswanathan's contribution has earned us numerous awards, including the Lifetime Achievement Award in Education and honorary doctorates from this world's leading global universities. And now, it is our privilege to welcome the speaker of the distinguished lecture, Sri S. Gurumurthy. A chartered accountant by profession, Sri Gurumurthy is widely respected as an economic nationalist, investigative journalist, and very importantly, a policy thinker. His fearless journalism, including the expose of the Bofors scandal, earned his national recognition as a voice of integrity. Today, he serves as a part-time director on the Central Bank of Reserve Bank of India, bringing rare insights into financial governance. As a visiting professor at IIT Bombay, he shares his deep knowledge of Indian models of economy and business, blending scholarship with cultural rootedness. Beyond academia and finance, Sri S. Gurumurthy is the leading ideologue of the Swadeshi movement and co-convener of the Swadeshi Jagran Manch, and also the editor of the Tamil weekly Tughlaq. His writings challenges conventional wisdom and also offer a unique Indian perspective on the globalization, development, and national identity. He is recognized as one of the most top 50 powerful Indians by the Gentleman magazine and ranked 17th most powerful person in India by India Today. His presence today is the legacy. His presence today honors the legacy of Sri Chandrababu Naidu and inspires us to reflect deeply on India's economic journey. Helping us to capture the essence of the session, our reporter, Dr. S.N. Sugumar, Deputy Director at Wales University. He will ensure that the insights shared today are preserved with clarity and precision. Dear delegates, let us now open our minds and hearts to this landmark lecture, an occasion to learn, reflect, and to be inspired by the wisdom of Sri S. Gurumurthy Ji, under the dynamic leadership chairmanship of Dr. G. Viswanathan and in the esteemed presence of Dr. Aisiri K. Ganesh sir. Now I request the chairperson for the session, Dr. G. Viswanathan sir, to please take over.
Good morning. அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். Mr. Gurumurthy, who is going to speak today, my old friend, maybe 40, 50 years. Aisari Ganesh, the Chancellor of the University, Professor Suguma, the reporter, the office bearers of the Indian Economic Association, other professors and delegates from all over India, very good morning to you. I am happy that a lecture has been arranged in the name of Chandrababu Naidu Memorial Lecture. I think this was done when it was held in Nagarjuna University in Guntur. I have been meeting chief ministers for nearly 60 years. Prime Minister, Chief Minister, Union Minister, governors, etc. But Naidu is a unique person in the entire country, irrespective of parties and states, languages. In 2015, he sent word to meet me when he was in Hyderabad at the time. Then I went and met him. He said, I want VIT in Andhra Pradesh. At the time, partition has taken place, but there was no secretariat in Andhra area. So Hyderabad, they have partitioned, like the brothers partitioning a house. One side, Chandrasekhar Rao was sitting, other side, Naidu was sitting. Then I told him, yes, we are prepared to come. And he said, how many acres do we have in Vellore? I told him 400 acres. He said, I can't give you 400, I will give you 200. Then it started. And next year, he shifted his capital. Out of 200, 100 acres was handed over, about to be handed over. And there was a meeting. I'm telling you precisely this, how a chief minister can function. People asked me to come. His officials asked me to come to a particular place. I went there. Chief Minister Naidu was present along with all senior ministers. All senior secretaries, IAS officers were present. I was the only one from non-government, outside the government. He told me that we are going to decide everything about the lands today. And he said, you are not only representing VIT, but all the private sector in the area, in Amaravati. I was a bit afraid. I don't know how we are going to deal with this. The price of land, whether lease or sale, the time of payment, everything was decided within 20 minutes. And he asked me, what is the land cost? I told him, you are the owner of the land, you have to tell the price. He said, no. You are deciding not only for you, for all. And it should be in favor of the government also. I was in a mood to say whether if it is high, then I will have to pay more. If it is low, then your confidence will be lost. So I said anywhere between 40 to 50 lakhs per acre. He said, I agree, 50 lakhs. This how he dealt with this, and within half an hour, everything was over and sent me out. I was wondering how this could happen. And 100 acres was allotted. And one day I was asked for registration. You know, land registration means what cost? I don't know, many of you must have gone for land registration. If it is the house site, they will ask for per square foot. If it is land, they will ask for per cent or per acre. Without payment, nothing takes place in this country. I don't know whether there is any other state which is where registration takes place without payment, unofficial payment. We don't call this bribe, it's a donation. And there was a lady sitting in the office, district registrar office. I went there. She offered me a cup of coffee, got my signature and sent me out. Not a single rupee was taken. I want to tell you, in the entire allotment of 100 acres, I have not spent any money. That's what Naidu is. He is a visionary. He is one who wants that state to be number one. In fact, once I asked him, why can't you go to the center? You have opportunity. He said, no, I want to remain here and make this state a model state in the country. But he had problem during division. He lost many things, whichever he did. And I want to read only one page where how he was honored by various organizations within the country and outside the country. Naidu has won a number of awards, including IT Indian and Millennium from India Today, Business Person of the Year by Economic Times, South Asian of the Year from Times Asia, Golden Peacock Award for Leadership in Public Service and Economic Transformation, and membership in the World Economic Forum Dream Cabinet. Naidu chaired National IT Panel under the National Democratic Alliance, India, NDA, and the government was described as one of the hidden 7 working wonders of the world by Profit. It is called Oracle Corporation's monthly magazine. Naidu was offered an honorary professorship of the US famous business school, Kellogg School of Management, like our Guruji is offered by IIT Bombay. He was offered by Kellogg School of Management. He was the chairman of National Task Force on Migration from Government of India, Micro Irrigation from Government of India, Ministry of Agriculture in 2003. He was the head of the 13-member Committee of Chief Ministers to promote digital payment systems and financial inclusion in India, which was constituted by federal government in 2016. The then governor of Illinois, Jim Edgar, created a Naidu Day on 24th September 1998 in his honor, and voted IT Indian of the Millennium in a poll by India Today in 1920. He was named South Asian of the Year in 1999 by Time magazine. In 2001, he was described as one of the hidden 7 working wonders around the world by Profit, a monthly magazine published by Oracle Corporation. Business Person of the Year by Economic Times, Golden Peacock Award for Leadership in Public Service and Economic Transformation 2017, Global Agricultural Policy Leadership Award by Indian Council of Food and Agriculture. The Pune-based organization Bharatiya Chhatra Sansad, in partnership with the MIT School of Governance, honored him with Adarsh Mukhyamantri Puraskar Model CM Award in the 6th annual session of 1916, Transformative Chief Minister Award in 2017 by US-India Business Council at West Coast Summit on Silicon Valley. These are some of the awards he got. It's very difficult to get so many awards by a chief minister. And personally, President Clinton visited him, and the other person, software and the Microsoft, the chairman also visited him. These are the something which happened, and he made what is Hyderabad today, but he lost it because of the part. Of course, it's a part of India. See, today Mr. Gurumurthy has come. I don't know how to describe him. He can be called a politician without political party, and he can be called an economist even though he is an auditor. He deals with all government issues for the last 40, 50 years, and people always also goes to him for consultation on various things. Now he has come to speak to us on the economic development of this country. So I would like to inform you that this country has 3 diseases. They are called national diseases: tax evasion, corruption, and black money. If we can find a solution, these 3 diseases, the country could be freed and it will become a developed country on its own. How are we going to do it? That's what I want Gurumurthy ji to find a solution. How we are going to achieve this, and how much we are losing. For example, there is an organization called National Institute of Public Finance and Policy. According to the estimate, by tax evasion, India is losing 9 lakh crores every year because we don't show our income into account. In fact, even properties are not shown. That's called benami property. I don't know whether there is any other country in the world which has so much benami transaction. And we don't pay tax. See, income tax is paid by only 2% of Indians. It is paid by 57% in Japan, 43% in US, 40% in Germany, 10% in China, and 2% in India. That's one reason why tax evasion is we are incurring loss. The other thing is black money. This is a disease which is common to this country for a long time. According to CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation 2012, they said 45 lakh crores of Indian rupees, Indian money is kept outside the country. There was a case filed before Supreme Court which claimed that 900 lakh crores is there outside the country, but CBI said it's only 45 lakh crores. And in fact, the ruling party in its election manifesto in 2014 told the public that the party, if it comes to power, will bring back the black money into the country, according to which it was 90 lakh crores. I don't know what happened to it. And we have also forgotten about it. What is the portion of black money in the circulation, among the Indian circulation? It varies. IMF says it is 50% of the GDP. World Bank says it's 20% of the GDP. And the Swiss Bank Association says India has more black money than the rest of the world combined. We have to put a solution, take a solution. And of course, Gurumurthy, even though he is so influential, he cannot do it one day, but I want him to consider this, talk to the people how to get rid of this. And again, in order to save yourself from tax evasion, black money, you have to pay people. That becomes corruption, both officials and politicians. And because of corruption, we are losing about 6 lakh crores a year. And in corruption, there is one organization, you know it, Transparency International, which takes every year into consideration. 10 years ago, our ranking was 85 in the world. Then it went to 90. In 23, it gone to 93. Last year, we have gone to 96. So India is growing, corruption is also growing. How are you going to control this? This cannot be done by a single person. It has to be the entire country has to join together and do this. That's what I wanted to bring it to your notice, and also I request our auditor Gurumurthy do something with the government, because I always compare ours with China. Of course, they have grown so much. As I told you yesterday, in 1990, their per capita income was $50 lesser than us. Now, where are they and where are we? Take, for example, export and import or foreign exchange reserve. In 24-25, the trade deficit for India was $91 billion. 2024-25. In the same year, China's trade surplus was $990 billion. There is no equal in the world. It is the highest in the world, nearly $1 trillion. Again, foreign exchange reserve, we're very happy. We are increasing. Now, today's news says we have reached $693 billion. I just wanted to compare ourselves with China, and China has 3,346 billion. That is $3.3 trillion. That's where I want India to compete. We are capable. Only thing is, we have to make ourselves ready. Our students must have, the youngsters must have enough education. There's no education now. It's only 28%, 29% of the eligible age group. We have to give them education and opportunity to work. And the political parties, I request them. The governments or ministers are not for ruling party. They are for public. Once somebody gets elected, he should become common. He should become normal. He should become a man of all the parties, or even people without parties. It's not happening in our country. People think they have become minister for their party, and once they become ministers, they are given party responsibility also. Who will go to them? The opposition cannot go to them. This is a thing which cannot be done by a single party. The entire country has to join together, and at least serious political parties must sit together and discuss, because there is no other country which has 2,600 political parties. We are the only country in the world, but there are about 300 parties, serious parties. I want them to consider this, saying that once somebody gets elected, he should become normal, he should become common to all the parties, so that others can also approach, and they should think that the people's development is their priority, not party development or family development. Of course, it is all happening. This is only a wish, and I don't know how Gurumurthy is going to solve this or take steps to solve these problems, but I'm happy that he has accepted an invitation in the Indian Economic Association to address you today. Thank you very much. I invite him.
Dr. Viswanathan, my good friend, for a period of 5 decades, and Mr. Aisari Ganesh, who has been my long-standing associate for the last 3 decades at least, and Mr. Sukumar. I'm happy to be on the stage with all of you. My friend Dr. Varadarajan has come here. He is my neighbor, and much of my economics, theoretical knowledge of economics, I gained in the course of my discussions with him. He was a professor of economics in Vivekananda College. In fact, when I came here, I didn't want to come in an inappropriate dress, but I decided to come because the profession of economics is always identified with coat, suit, and things which are Western. It's not for that purpose. I will disclose why I came in, what is an inappropriate dress for this occasion, because that is the appropriate for the subject which I am going to discuss with you. You know, Indian Economic Association, I recollect Professor Radhakrishnan, who invited me to deliver a lecture. 10 years he waited for that lecture because I had delivered that lecture in C.P. Ramaswamy Foundation when communist system has collapsed in the world. That lecture was a very big hit. So Professor Radhakrishnan, who was in that audience, he said, you must deliver that lecture in Indian Economic Association platform. I told him, once you have said that that's an outstanding lecture, it should not be repeated. I don't know how many of you know that there was a tie cricket test between Australia and India, Australia and West Indies in 1960. I don't know how many of you know it. That was the first ever tie test in which there were 4 runouts by Australians. 4 batsmen were run out without being able to score 1 run. If they had scored 1 run, they would have won. In that, the first run out was by one Solomon. He threw the wicket down from where he could see only one stump. He was in the square leg. When he threw the wicket down, afterwards 3 more run outs, that match ended in a tie. Afterwards, Solomon was asked to make the throw 100 times. He could not hit the stump. So I said, these things happen only once. So the lecture which I delivered in C.P. Ramaswamy Foundation, I don't want to repeat because I may fail in repeating the same performance. But actually in 2006, he made me speak on the IEA platform and delivered that lecture that is available on the YouTube, in which I had mentioned this, and also Professor Radhakrishnan's role in making me speak. Indian Economic Association is one of the oldest associations thinking about economics in the context of India. Of course, economics is a subject which cannot be discussed in isolation in the context of only one country. It is an interrelated concept. It's connected with international trade, international finance, international systems, governance. So, this is an august and a very respected forum, and I am very happy to be invited to speak. And I know all of you are trained economists or students of economics, and in a sense, I am a trespasser into economics. I learned economics from the streets of India, the industrial clusters of India, the community-based entrepreneurship of India, and the economic history of India. In fact, much of the discussions that are taking place today do not have relevance to the economic history of the world or of even India. For example, Karl Marx said in an article which he wrote in 1853 in the New York Herald Tribune, where he more or less said that India had some kind of a primitive socialism. It doesn't have a huge difference between the producer and the consumer, and there is not much of exploitation. This is how he described the Indian economy in his article in 1853. But he said this country has not changed for the last 2000 years. It is worshipping cows and monkeys. It is a semi-barbaric society. This country cannot develop. In the same way, Max Weber, some 50-60 years later, he theorized that only Protestant Christian values will enable a society, a country, to adjust, align its economic development. And even Catholic societies cannot do it, and he was right, because all the Protestant nations were growing and all the Catholic nations were stagnating, and he was absolutely right so far as his study of the two societies were concerned. He had done a lot of study. But he wrote 2 books, one, The Religion of Hinduism and Buddhism, in which he said these 2 societies can never develop economically because they believe in karma and rebirth. Once you believe in karma and rebirth, there is no initiative, there is no enterprise. So capitalism cannot work in these two societies. But it is a conspiracy of historical chronology that the findings of Angus Madison and Paul Byrock, which came in 1980s and 2000, said, for 1700 years, India was the leading economic power of the world. If this study was available before Karl Marx or before Max Weber, they would not have made that assertion. They talked in ignorance about India. We also talk in ignorance about our country. Much of the students, much of the economics that is taught to the students in academic institutions and research institutions, it is so sketchy. It doesn't bring out the past competence or even the present potentials of India, about which only I am going to talk to you, not in the context of an autarkic or individualist presentation so far as India is concerned, but in the context of the whole world. You know, sometime in 1993-94, Dr. Jagdish Bhagwati, who was called the god of free trade because he conceptualized the idea of the WTO. He had come to India. At that time, I was leading the Swadeshi Jagran Manch in India. I was opposing globalization. I was not opposing global trade. I was opposing globalization. There is a huge difference between global trade and globalization. Of course, at that time, it was not possible for anybody to listen to anything that is said against globalization. And so we were all trashed as Neanderthal economists trying to take the country 500 years back. In fact, in Administrative Staff College of India, when I was speaking to a very elite audience of almost 1,500 people, when I was explaining how the idea of WTO is misconceived, it can never work, globalization is bound to collapse, one person in the audience stood up and said, people like you must be shot dead because you are taking the country backward. This was the extent of opposition that we faced for expressing a viewpoint which has no proof to be correct. So we all faced, we were swimming against the current, we were swimming against a tsunami. It is with that experience I am going to tell you what happened between me and Dr. Jagdish Bhagwati. This is very important, not only then, it is important today, it is important even for future. 50 years later also, what I am going to explain will be important for any economic thinker. Dr. Jagdish Bhagwati had given a 72-page paper to the government of India, in which he had said, at that time our savings to GDP ratio was 19%. Later on it went up to 38%. So this 19% savings to GDP ratio was excessive. India doesn't need more than 10% savings. The balance 9% should be converted into consumption, and then it will transform into production and employment. And once you cut down the savings from 19 to 10%, you will grow so much. Then somebody asked, where will the investment come from? Foreigners are waiting with tons and tons of money to invest in India. Indians should forget about investment. They should consume. They should trade. So that manufacturing you give up. This was his suggestion. And it was a paper in which he had described how Indian women are stingy and they have to be taught to spend. 3 pages he had devoted and said the Indian women should be attracted to spend. You must build huge malls, import goods from abroad, attract them to spend because your goods are bad, they are not buying. You must turn them into consumers. Then nobody can stop the Indian economy. But the problem is with the culture of Indian women who do not spend. So I opposed this. I said this is a ridiculous argument. No country can hand over investment to some other country and only consume. It's a very foolish idea. So somebody went and asked Dr. Jagdish Bhagwati, Mr. Bhagwati, you are saying that we should save less and spend more. And Mr. Gurumurthy is saying that it's inappropriate to this country. He said, who is Mr. Gurumurthy? Somebody said, no, he is also An economist? How? If Gurumurthy is an economist, you can call me a Bharatanatyam dancer. This is how we were all trivialized. We were abused. We were made irrelevant in the global discourse. But fortunately, because I was the only person who was expressing the alternative viewpoint, the media could not ignore me, and they gave me the kind of prominence that was needed to counter their opinion. But the important point I am going to relate to you is something funny. I had written an article in the Indian Express in the year 2002. The title of the article was Savings as Sin, Spending as Virtue. This was the title of the article, a short article. This article was picked up by the Hudson. You know, Hudson is a very important investment advisory institution in the world. And they had taken it up and they said, this is something to make you think. This was in their monthly report, in which they said, one of the members, that lady who was the editor of the magazine, she writes this. One of my members sent this extract to me recently, and he has graciously allowed me to send it to the rest of our members. It definitely made me think. It made me think so much that I have dedicated this e-bulletin to looking at the way I can help some of our members to stop spending and start saving. The article is, I am going to read out only a small part of it. Neo-economics, also known as New Age economics, this is in my name. Why does the rest of the world follow US? The secret lies in that the Americans spend, they hardly save. In fact, they use their credit cards to spend their future income. This fact makes it so attractive to export to the US. US imports more than its exports year after year. This I am writing in 2002, when the US current account deficit had not become a huge issue. The result, the world is dependent on US consumption for its growth. By its deepening culture of consumption, the US has habituated the world to feed on its consumption. The US needs money to finance its consumption, and the rest of the world provides that money. So, rest of the countries earn money from US and lend that money to US for US to spend that money, and it keeps on going. This was a very dangerous game the US began playing in late 1990s. At the time, it was not even noticed. In fact, I used to read headlines in Financial Times. The US consumers keep the world economy going. But how are they? They are not doing out of their income. They are borrowing from the world and importing goods. And that is how the American economy was growing. This was a very unsustainable model, is what we discussed. And we said Dr. Jagdish Bhagwati is completely wrong. But I am going to tell you something very, very interesting. This article began circulating. It is one of the most widely circulated articles in the world. And it was published by many, many countries, in many universities. And finally, there was a report. Savings is sin, spending is virtue. This article which I wrote was actually credited to Dr. Jagdish Bhagwati. 10 years later, Jagdish Bhagwati said in 2002 that spending is virtue and savings is sin. This article credited to Dr. Jagdish Bhagwati. Surprising, because I had attacked Dr. Jagdish Bhagwati in this article, but this article began circulating in the name of Dr. Jagdish Bhagwati. Why I am saying this is, when I was called the Bharatanatyam dancer, then 2 years before, the former finance minister of India wrote an article in the Indian Express that Modi is being advised by Bharatanatyam dancers on economics, referring to me. So that is why I wanted to come in a dress which is near a Bharatanatyam dancer's dress to tell you economics does not mean wearing coat or suit or speaking in English. It is about understanding the society and the people, how economic habits penetrate into the society and transform into macroeconomic figures. This is my personal experience. I have had discussions with economists at various levels. But the subject of economics had collapsed in 2008. Many people do not know. That's what I'm going to tell you to drive home my point. You see, economics started off as what is known as worldly philosophy. In fact, economists were called worldly philosophers. It was part of sociology. But it has now become econometrics. It is a subject of mathematics, a subject of precision science. It is the most ridiculous distortion and transformation of a subject which has to do with human behavior. How people look at money, how people look at their responsibilities, how families work, communities work, individuals and families, how are they related? This is a huge and complex subject. In fact, in the year 2001 in San Jose in America, I delivered a lecture. Maybe you can Google and get it. Of course, its video is not available. Its audio is available. I said Indian economy is feminine in character. There is a moderation in expenditure, in investment. They turn waste into wealth. Nothing they will throw, our women. They will turn even what we see as waste into wealth. For example, if a chair is broken, they will have it repaired and used. They will not throw the chair and buy a new one. If a car is not in a good condition, they will repair the car and use. And if you see in America, millions of cars which are usable for the next 10 years are flattened and turned into iron rod. That is turning wealth into waste. There is a huge difference between societies which want to reverse the waste into wealth and the societies which turn wealth into waste. I have been in America. I have never seen an American drinking the full Coca-Cola. The Coca-Cola bottle will be so big. I have always seen them throwing half of it. It is an economy intended for waste, habituated to waste. And if you see toothpaste advertisements, in India, the toothpaste advertisements will be that you fill the paste completely in your brush. That is not, only 1/3 or 1/2 is sufficient. But your advertisement makes you believe that unless you fill it fully, your tooth cannot be clean. This is how selling takes place. The whole concept is how to sell goods. In America, whenever I had gone to our houses, I used to find at least 2 months of stock in their home. Every house was like our bunk shop. You can see some 10 toothpaste, some 20 soaps. Actually, the manufacturers have made you hold the stock for them. This is the consumption model which has grown in the West and it is being transformed into the rest. And with the result, how we were made to adopt it. There is a history behind it. You know, in the year 1951, the United Nations issued an advisory to the underdeveloped countries, which is people like us, Asians, the global South, and Africans. We were told what? I'm going to read out to you. This is how Indian economics was taught in schools, in colleges, to IAS officers. I am going to read out to you what the United Nations told the underdeveloped nations to do. There is a sense in which rapid economic progress is impossible without painful adjustments. Ancient philosophies have to be scrapped. Old social institutions have to disintegrate. bonds of caste, creed, and race have to burst. And large number of persons who cannot keep up with progress have to have their expectations of comfortable life frustrated. Unless you cease to be who you are, you can never develop. This was the concept of both Karl Marx and Max Weber, who said you have to discard your past, that you have no culture, you have no value, you are just an individual. And the person is called economics person. He exists only for one purpose, and that is money. This was the basis of economic modeling that developed later. And all nations have to give up, all nations other than the West, have to give up their way of life, their habits, their culture, and become part of what is known as the whole community, whole nation pursuing only money, money, money. I mean, this certainly made the West very prosperous, but it didn't become prosperous only by its own efforts. It also became prosperous because the others could not adjust themselves to this kind of model. But actually, this kind of model is now failing. How? 2008 crisis, financial crisis, what a watershed point, not only in the context of America and its financial system, but in the context of economics itself. In 2009, The Economist magazine came out with a cover story. The economics textbook is melting away. What happened to macroeconomics? In which the editorial said, the profession of the economists have been a very respected profession, and the arrogant profession has been humbled by the 2008 crisis. And in the crisis, the economists fought like hell. In fact, most of the economists who were valued and praised and respected, they began fighting like people in the street. Woolly-headed, bony-headed. This is how they were hitting at each other. The Economist magazine said, 30 years of macroeconomics has become useless at worst, and this is useless at best, and it is destructive at worst. This was the picture of economics, because everything had become short term. Annual balance sheets became quarterly results. Quarterly results became overnight interest rates. Overnight interest rates began deciding the mood of the nations. This had become the financial model which Keynes started. Money as the more important factor than other factors of production. And then this transformed into the Alan Greenspan model. Alan Greenspan was the first one to declare that America doesn't save, it need not save, it will not save, because the rest of the world saves and gives us the money. This he wrote in 2007. The book called The Turbulent Years. The next year was the crisis. So Alan Greenspan was called by the US Congress. Gentlemen, you were called the god of free money. That you said we need not save. He said, I don't know what happened. I trusted the Nobel laureates' theories. I trusted the computer. I trusted the software. They were all world class. But everything has collapsed. I don't know how it collapsed. This is called Alan Greenspan's mea culpa, admission of guilt. So the financial economics which overtook the entire domain of economics, including macroeconomics, failed in 2008. From then onwards, the American economy began declining. Today, the economic model which they followed, that they stopped producing and they started importing cheap goods to see that there is no inflation in America. America bought cheap goods from outside to see that there is no inflation in America. If now Trump is now reversing it, America is now hit with inflation because the cost of the goods is becoming more. In this, America has incurred a current account deficit of $15 trillion. In the last 25 years, it continues to incur current account deficit of $1 trillion. And the American debt today is $37 trillion, whereas it was only $9 trillion in the year 2005. And the biggest problem of America is debt. The families are in debt. Corporates are in debt. Government is in debt. Today, American securities are not being bought. The biggest problem of America, now you must have seen in many of the YouTubes which are coming of American experts speaking, that if China sells 500 billion worth American securities, America will become insolvent. Because China is holding the maximum American government securities. Next is Japan. You know, we are also holding about $300 to $400 billion of American securities. These securities are not represented by the real worth of America. That is the problem of Trump. Don't think Trump is doing anything harmful to you. He is trying to rescue the American economy because of 25 years of lavish and worthless lifestyle which they have been leading. He is now trying to correct. From the perspective of America, he is right. But America has cheated the whole world, saying that if you follow like us, what we do, you will develop. But actually, your lifestyle has destroyed you, and your lifestyle has destroyed countries, many, many countries. The country which is facing the biggest problem is China. If the world does not follow the American way of life and continues to import from China, China will become insolvent because there is no balance in international trade. One of the most important aspects of economics is balance. You have to balance imports, exports, income, expenditure, tax, government expenditure. It's like a family's economics. If one country keeps on importing, another country keeps on exporting, this is not a sustainable model. And this was always known. But this was being pushed in the name of globalization. America has said there is no globalization hereafter. We don't believe in globalization. We believe in America first. It's a complete admission of the failure of globalization. And the Western models have been having a short shelf life. Colonialism lasted for 200 years. Mercantile capitalism lasted for 100 years. Communism lasted for 50 years. Globalization lasted for 25 years. There is no economic model today. Not only there is no economic model, I challenged a group of economists. Professor Vardarajan is sitting here. It was in the Hindu business line meet where there were three economists. One Ratin Roy, the other was one Ranade, and the third, I forget the name of the person. So I was the third speaker. I said, Mr. Ratin Roy is going to talk after me. All three of you are trained economists. I am not. I am going to put a question to you. Can you tell me there is one universally applicable economic law which is applicable and good for all nations? One single law. I said there is no economic law which applies to all the nations. You call economics, economic laws, of universal value. I challenge you to tell me whether there is any such law. Ratin Rai, who spoke after me, I accept Mr. Gurumurthy. If any economist says that there is a universally valid economic law which is applicable to all nations, he is either lying or he is dishonest. I am now going to prove it to you. You know, when America kept on importing more than it exported and began incurring current account deficit of trillions and trillions of dollars, normal economic law, international trade law says, international monetary law says that the currency value will go down. If you incur current account deficit, your currency value should go down. But in the context of America, when they kept on importing, incurring current account deficit, the dollar value went up by 3 times. So people asked, how does your economic law says your currency must depreciate? But it has not only not depreciated, it has increased, not only increased, it has increased by 3 times. 2 Harvard economists came out with a fantastic explanation. I don't know why that is not being discussed in our academic fora, in our media, amongst our economists. They came out with a fantastic explanation that the US economy and dollar are not governed by the rules of economics or laws of economics. They are governed by the laws of physics. You know what is the law of physics? Is it physics says that there is a dark matter which sustains the universe. The dark matter what? We don't know. But the dark matter sustains, positions everybody, all planet movements, everything is regulated by that single source, that single power, that unalterable axiom. America is like that because even though the American economy is incurring huge losses, the American dollar value is going up. It is because America is a country which offers security to investors. It is the insurance cost that sustains American dollar value. We are not subject to economic loss. This was the explanation given in 2006. This has completely collapsed today. There was a time when people were admiring dollar and hoarding it. Today Trump says if you don't, we will kill you. Dollar has become an enforced currency today. It is no more an admired currency. The whole world economy stands upside down. These are all matters for us to inquire. You know, I was introduced as the part-time director of the Reserve Bank of India. Of course, I never accepted any government position. This I have to accept under some pressure. Because at that time, MSMEs are being hounded out by the Reserve Bank of India. The government was very keen, and I was told at the highest level that you should become the member of the Reserve Bank because to fight for the cause of the small-scale industries, which made me join the board. I always argued within the Reserve Bank of India that instead of keeping your foreign exchange in dollar, keep it in gold. In fact, at that time, many people used to laugh at me. But the Reserve Bank listened to the advice. They began buying gold. You know, in the last 1 year, the gold value is double. You know why? When the dollar weakens, the gold will become strong. When America weakens, gold will become more valuable. And you know, our Indian women are probably the best economists in the world to have invested in the last several thousand years so much money. You know what is the amount of gold in our hands? Can anyone say? The total gold over the surface is estimated about 86,000 tons. All the gold mined and kept over the surface. The estimate is almost half of it is with India. Half. And the gold, that of course, it's a matter of estimation. The gold imported between 1992 and 2024 is 19,000 tons. And that way, India is probably the richest country in the world in terms of people's assets. The government is weak. People are strong. It is because of their lifestyle. It is because Indian economy is, as I said, feminine in character. They will never waste. They will turn waste into wealth. And they are moderate in spending. And safe investment is more important than risky investment. You know the extent of Indian household savings that gets into stock market? Can anyone tell me? Just 9%. Most of the savings of India is in fixed securities. Don't think you are an underdeveloped economy. In Japan also the same position. Only 9% of Japanese savings gets into equities. And 51% of the deposit is savings is in bank deposit. At least you get interest on your bank deposit. In America, in Japan, you have to pay interest to the bank to keep your money. Negative rate of interest. Even then they keep the money in the bank because that is the safest investment, because stock market investment is unsafe. These are all the behavioral model, culture, history of nations, and you cannot ignore them in policy making. When America was hiking the interest rates, US Federal Reserve, Japan was cutting the interest rates. And Japan did not follow America. But it was as efficient. Even today, it is as efficient an economy as American economy. Because that economic model suits the behavioral model of Japanese, its families, its communities. But that is not the way Indian economics is taught to Indian students or even the faculty. And we just look at what is happening in the West and carbon copy it and follow it, so that we have a situation where the economic thinking is inappropriate to the people of India. So my appeal is that you should definitely look into how economics should be the world has changed completely. The entire post-World War economic order was based on a global order led by America. And in 2020, when COVID hit, the person who articulated the post-World War order, Henry Kissinger, said, the world order will change forever. He just wrote a 500-word article in which he mentioned in one sentence, the world order will change forever. When the Ukraine war took place, he again said, unless this war ends very soon, the world order will stand restructured forever. Now, whatever doubt was there about whether the world order will change or not, Trump has settled it and he has changed the world order once and for all. And the latest strategic document of Pentagon, America, says America will no more be the superpower leading the world. Every country will have to look after itself. We will help here and there. We will try to balance. We are not going to be the policemen of the world. 5 years before this was unthinkable. 10 years before, if somebody had said this, he would have been called a madman. That is the pace with which the world has changed. Now, coming to the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbhar Bharat, many of our economists think it's a bad idea, it's a backward idea. When we were leading the Swadeshi Jagran, as people used to laugh at us, many economists think that this is not a good idea. But when Trump began speaking about American economic nationalism, America first, that is the translation of Atmanirbhar America. Every country will have to now readjust its economic thinking to the way of life of the people. You know how I learned economics? I'll just tell you in 2 minutes. Afterwards, I will go into what is Atmanirbhar Bharat. I began learning economics in Punjab, in Ludhiana, Batala, Rajkot, Jamnagar, Morbi, right down to Toothukudi. About 45 industrial clusters I visited, stayed there for 3, 4, 5 days, as to how these industrial clusters become such a booming economic activity without any government investment. You know which is the place with the highest per capita income in India? Can anyone make a guess? I will tell you which are not the places. It is not Bombay. It is not Delhi. It is not Bangalore. It's not Hyderabad. It's not Chennai. It's not Calcutta. Tell me which is the place? A place. It is a place called Morbi in Gujarat. Morbi. Some people call it Morbi. A dam burst wiped out that place in 1965. In 2001, an earthquake flattened that place. There are 1,200 ceramic factories. It is called the ceramic capital of India. There are equal number of textiles. You know what is the... Now the population must be about 5 lakhs. When I went there, it was about 4 lakhs. And now it must be about 8 lakhs. It is the place with the maximum employment. You see Ajanta wall clock you are seeing. That Ajanta wall clock is manufactured in Morbi. They have entered into deal with China to access the American market. The one language which the people of Morbi do not know is English. They don't know English. They know only Gujarati. And 1/3 population is Muslim population. They align and do work so well. It is the most prosperous place. I don't know whether any of you have had people dealing with the Kachis. They are the only people who do not buy goods on credit. They pay money, take cash discount. This is the work. When I went in 1994 to Jalandhar, I was staying in an RSS leader's house. He said, "Sir, can you come to my factory? It's a small factory. We make cricket bat." Cricket bat? In Jalandhar? Yes, sir, we make cricket bats. Whom do you manufacture cricket bat for? Sir, the entire Australian Cricket Controls Board order comes to us, sir. We make it. Then I said, "I want to see your factory." Then, this factory is half the size of this hall. And there was a carpenter working. He said, "Do you see this carpenter?" Yes. He may make 10 willows a day, 50 willows a day, 20 willows a day, depending upon his mood. I pay him 75 rupees a willow. And see the Maruti car standing there. In those days, Maruti car was a very big idea. This belongs to this carpenter. I was stunned that in Jalandhar, in 1994, Australian Cricket Control Board order was being placed in a small factory. I saw this everywhere in India. I don't know how many of you have gone to Tirupur. When I went to Tirupur, there was a one-lane road. And they are now exporting almost $6 billion worth knitwear garments. 68% of them are educated less than 10 standard. And throughout India, I found uneducated employers and educated employees. IITs do not produce entrepreneurs. This is the picture of India. The entire BSC Sensex 30 companies, their contribution to GDP is just 6%. Just 6%. It is Jalandhar, it is Tirupur, it is Namakkal, it is Karur, it is... These centers constitute 60% of India's production and exports and employment. But they will not figure in the Economic Times or Business Standard or Business Line. You will not even read about them. How do you understand Indian economics? Now I am going to conclude with 3 points about what Atmanirbharta means. I had a discussion with Prime Minister Modi when he gave the motto, "One Earth, One Family, One Future" for the G20 conference. Then he asked me, how will you explain it? Then I gave an explanation which I am going to tell you. He asked me to deliver the lecture to the Niti Aayog. On 23rd October, or maybe 28th October 2023, I delivered that lecture. It's available on the net, you can see it. You know about our food security. What gives us food security? You know, in the entire world, Our land is 2.4% of the global land area. If the entire world, its surface is taken, 27% of the global surface is land, out of which we have 2.4%. 2.4% or 27%. But we have 18% human population in this. 18% of world's human population. 30% of world's bovine population. 42% of world's cattle population. And 8% bioresources. And 21% forest coverage. It's an ecological wonder. America is 3.5 times the size of India. It has 1/5 of bovine population. 1/4 of human population. China is 3.5 times the size of India. Its bovine population is just 1/6 of India. When we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, it is not only everything, every little beings have the right to live. When we didn't have food in 1960s, cattle population kept increasing, bovine population kept increasing. We didn't eat them. What makes India's food security? I'm going to give you a stunning statistics. You know, we are also meat eaters, but meat is not our main food. Cereal is our main food. Our average meat consumption per head per annum is 3.5 kilos per head per annum. For America, it is 120. For South Africa, it is 180. It is for European countries, it is 110 kgs. We just eat 3.1 kg. Our maximum consumption is cereals. We eat about 180 kgs per head per annum. You know why? Cereals give you 83% of the calorie value. Note it. 83% of the calorie value comes from cereals. Only 17% comes from meat. 63% of the protein value comes from cereals. Only 37% comes from meat. In fact, cereals are fed to the animals to produce meat. That means you feed 83% calorie value to get 17% calorie value. This is the American model of agriculture. So there is if you want these data, you can go into ourworldindata.com. Ourworldindata.com. Let us assume all Indians decide to shift to the American way of eating. We eat only burgers and things like that. We will need 6 times the agricultural land we have. Our country's size has to be 2.5 times it is. And 1 kilo of cereal and 1 kilo of meat, if they are compared in terms of CO2 gas emission, it is 10 to 100 times more. If all Indians decide to shift to the American way of life, there will be no environment in the world. 35% of the CO2 gas emission is from agriculture, out of which 90% is from meat. If India, a big country, shifts to meat eating like the Americans, we are also meat eaters. 60% of Indians are non-vegetarians, maybe 68%, but there is a balance. That is what is our food security. Our agricultural waste is consumed by animals, not agricultural products. You see the difference between Indian agriculture and American agriculture? Now come to housing. I am not going into detailed statistics, but this is sufficient to show how if the Indian food style changes, there will be no food security in India. Next is housing. We have 4.5 persons per household living together. 3 generations live together. We share our space. And in America, there are 2.5 persons per household. It was 3 persons per household in 1960. It has got reduced to 2.5 because every family has become nuclear, and there are 28% of the American families are only father and the mother with children living together. 49% do not have children. 28% live together without marriage with anybody for any length of time. The families have collapsed. First marriages end in divorce, 55%. Second marriages end in divorce, 68%. Third marriages end in divorce, 74%. This is what Psychology magazine says. With the result, the families have become just meeting points. There is no living together. 90% of the American families do not have kitchen. Kitchen is multinational companies. A house without kitchen, a house without a role for women cannot be sustained only by bedroom. Of course, they don't have a puja room. You must understand the condition of the American families which has resulted. I'm going to tell you about the social security, which is my last point. If all Indians who are living with their parents and grandparents, that is what makes 4.5. In fact, we have more houses than families. We have about 27 crore families and we have about 33 crore homes, because many people have home in their village and also here. So, if all Indians decide to live like Americans and disown their responsibilities to parents, and the average number of persons living per household becomes 2.5 like America, we will need 135 million more houses. We don't have space, we don't have money. This is lifestyle supporting economics. Food style supporting economics. Now the last point I am coming to, the social security. In India, we all take care of our parents, elders, dependent people. In fact, even our sisters and others who have no support, we support them. In fact, we keep them in our houses also. In America, this doesn't happen. Parents are not supported by students, by children. Children are not supported by parents. In fact, in UCLA in America, when I was addressing the management students, I asked them to raise their hand. Who are supported by families for your MBA? In an audience of about 150 or 200, I said, Indians don't participate in this. Only non-Indian students participated. Almost nobody raised their hand. Family supporting, nobody raised their hand. I asked the Indian students, please tell me how many Indian students you are supported by families. Almost every Indian student raised his hand. The family supports education. And because of that, if we support elders, we support children, children support us. This is mutual. Parasparam bhavayantaha. This is what Bhagavad Gita says. The society survives because of mutual support. The younger generation supporting the elder generation supporting the younger generation. This is what the American economist said. You note the book, very important book, US Economy in Transition 1980 by the National Bureau of Economic Research, in which people like Milton Friedman participated. The economist said, don't interfere in the intergenerational obligations. Let the elders support the youngsters, let the youngsters support the elders. But the American politicians did not listen. They said, you don't worry, we will support you. They brought in the universal social security. You just pay 12.5% tax and forget about your parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, children. We will support. So much money came into the system, they said, we have a successful system. But when the American population began dipping from 2006, the deposits into the national security dipped and the withdrawals from national security increased. With the result, there is a deficit in national security account, social security account. And if the future burden is reduced to the present day value, the deficit in US national security, social security is $72 trillion. This is a dynamite under America. But in India, The entire social security is taken care of by families, our culture, our value system. If all Indians decide to disown their parents, the responsibility is towards near and dear. 70 crore people will be standing before Prime Minister Narendra Modi's house for 2 square meals a day. There will be no India. But do we study Indian economy like that? Indian economics like that? Do we teach Indian economics like that? Atmanirbharta is founded on lifestyle. You can stop the import of goods by tariffs, but you can't stop the import of lifestyle by tariff. It has to be protected by consciousness. Thank you.
One minute, 2 minutes. Just. Sir, thank you very much. Listening to Dr. Gurumurthy has been nothing short of inspiring. He did not just give a lecture, he made us to go along with a journey. From his memories of Dr. Radhakrishnan to his reflection on Karl Marx, Keynes, and Jagdish Bhagwati, he connected history, ideas, and lived realities in a way that made economics something alive. He reminded us how crises like 2008 shook the world, how debt and inflation continues to challenge nations, and how marketing itself is reshaping people's perception. He spoke with conviction about savings, especially the wisdom of women who have safeguarded families through their gold savings, and about the need of new economic thinking that is taught not just in classroom but is lived in everyday's life. He calls for this Atmanirbhar Bharat was powerful, urging to embrace self-reliance with confidence. So, as we come close, let us carry forward your message that economics is not just theory but a way of living. That resilience comes from balance, savings, and foresight, and that our future depends on blending wisdom from the past with the innovations from tomorrow. And now, may I now invite all of you to rise and join me in giving Dr. Gurumurthy a standing ovation in gratitude for his time, his wisdom, and his presence at his historic 108th Annual Conference of the Indian Economic Association. Sir, thank you very much for your valuable time, sir. I now request the chairperson to please give his remarks.
I thank Dr. Gurumurthy for making this Indian Economic Association as the International Economic Association. He has compared US, China, India, etc. In fact, when he was talking about savings, I was thinking of my own guru. I was trained by a senior advocate called V.C. Rajagopalachari. For 3-4 years I was with him to change my character. He never used to save. At the end of the day, he will go home without money. Whatever he gets, he will distribute among his juniors. And of course, something he will give it to his secretary, where he to take care of the home needs, whatever his daughter-in-law says. The rest he will give it to all people and go back. One day I asked him, how is that you are without saving? How can a human being be without saving? He said, do animals save? Do birds save? Are they not making a living? We will also making a living. That was what he said. Of course, none of us could follow that, but there are people like that. And of course, as Gurumurthy said, the ladies save gold, which is going to be forever. Only thing is, now they want to buy, it's very difficult. Because I remember my marriage was celebrated in 1964, and the cost of sovereign was 250 rupees. Now it is 400 times that of what is available in 64. I think we have to find a solution to all this. The another important point is that we have to produce more and consume more. Both it should happen. For production, all of us have to join together, state, center, private, public, etc. And the other thing is, for consumption, we require money, more family income, more personal income. He was referring to US and China. China's per capita, the US per capita income is $89,000. China has reached $13,000. We are in 2,900. We have to improve that. That can be done, according to me, by giving them education and an opportunity to work. All the state and center should join together, along with public and private, so that this country come up in manufacturing. We are very much lagging behind. The world's manufacturing, 45% is controlled by China and US. China is about 28%, 17% is US. We contribute only 3%. We have to come up and we have to achieve it. And I would very much like our economists to influence the people, the state government, central government, and people, whoever you come across with. They should be impressed that this production should go up, and productivity in agriculture also should go up. In agricultural productivity, we are lagging behind compared to many countries. We have to improve our productivity in agriculture, increase the production in industry, so that this country can also become an advanced country and compete with advanced countries. I profusely thank the Gurumurthy for taking his time, and I thank the IEA for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's time to honor the dignitaries on the dais. I request the Founder Chancellor of VISTAS, Sri Dr. I. Sri K. Ganesh, sir, and the Chief Patron of the 108th Annual Conference to felicitate Sri Swaminathan Gurumurthy, Part-time Director, Central Board of the Reserve Bank of India, Visiting Professor, IIT Mumbai. I now request Dr. A.D.N. Bajpai, sir, to felicitate the Chairman, Founder Chancellor, Dr. I. Sri K. Ganesh. Sir, please. I now request Professor Jyoti Murugan, sir, to please come on to the dais to honor Chancellor Dr. G. Viswanathan, sir, for chairing this historical Sri Chandrababu Naidu Endowment Lecture. I now request Dr. Anil Kumar Thakur, sir, Dr. Ravindra Brahme, sir, to please come and felicitate Dr. S.N. Sugumar, the Deputy Local Organizing Secretary, 108th Annual Conference, and the Deputy Director, School of Economics, Management Studies, and Commerce. I request Dr. Anil Kumar Thakur, sir, to please come on for group photographs. Dr. L. Vijay Kumar, founder cum managing trustee of Benevolent Trust, wants to honor the founder chancellor of VISTAS, Dr. Aisuri K. Ganesh, sir. It's time to honor Professor A. Chodhi Murugan, sir, President Conference IE. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.